TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Part of my job was to set up the ring at the Calhoun Beach Hotel where they did the TV for the AWA. And I'd sit in a dark control booth with the director, Al DeRusha. And I'd be there to listen to the guys' interviews and watch the matches, trying to learn all this stuff. And it was a dark, small room. All the TV things, the monitors and stuff, and the buttons that are lit up, and the director pushes this button, that camera, this button, that camera, that, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. That's where it's all done. It's all the technical stuff. It's a dark room with a few lights. Well, quite a few lights, actually, but not enough to see anything. And there's a doorway, and they always let the door open. And the light from the hallway where the wrestlers went into the ring was always lit. So I was in this dark room, far back, away from the action, to watch. And as I was watching, every time the match was called, it would be Larry the Axe Hennig versus so-and-so, Handsome Harley Race versus so-and-so, Jay York the Alaskan versus so-and-so, Big K Kowalski versus so-and-so, Vern Gagne versus so-and-so, The Crusher versus so-and-so. And then one day this match was about to begin, and this guy walked by the door just before he's introduced. He walked by the door and he stopped. None of them had ever stopped before. He looked in and he looked at me. And he said, "You'd make a good German." And he went to the ring. And he announced, Roger Kent announced, "Mad Dog Vachon." And he went in there and he tore up somebody's there. Just fantastic. He did his thing, and he left, and then, I thought, oh. Anyway, a week later, same thing. He stopped by the door. "You'd make a good German." Did his thing. And I didn't realize at the time, but they were flying him in. I think he was working in California. Flying him in, doing the TV, getting him over, getting him reacquainted with the fans because he'd been there before. I just didn't know about it. Anyway, because I was back in New York in the Army. Anyway, after 3 or 4 times of this, he said, "You'd make a good German." And I said, "I am German." I don't think he even heard it, but he went off and did his thing. And anyway, that was my first introduction to Mad Dog. Then I met him later when I was refereeing matches that he was in, and we became friends because he was an Olympic wrestler. He actually wrestled on the Canadian Olympic team back in 1948, and so we had this kind of bond or whatever. And he liked me, I liked him. And then somewhere along the line, he asked me if I'd like to go up to Canada and be his partner. He used to go back to Quebec, which is right next to Algeria, in case you were interested. Anyway, to Quebec to be his partner, tag team partner. So I said, sure, And I just met my wife, Bonnie Bogey, who I eventually proposed to much later, and we packed up our little red Ford Mustang convertible. That was a hot stuff thing. And we drove to Canada, getting stopped at the border for this, that, and the other. And anyway, we drove up to Canada, and that's where I went from little Jimmy Raschke from Nebraska, who couldn't do an interview if he had to, and I became Baron von Raschke. And for some reason, being in French-speaking Quebec, Canada, Montreal, I could be falling back on a German accent that I'd picked up from college when I took German. And although my grandmother spoke fluent German, and she didn't want her children to speak it because of the wars and things, and so no, it was never spoken in our home. Anyway, and neither of my parents spoke it. So anyway, I wind up there, and I'm free to speak like this manic German if I wanted to be. Whatever I wanted to be, I could speak like, and I did. And I picked up on it pretty quick because I think little Jimmy Raschke was a little repressed. My alter ego came out. I became Baron von Raschke. Baron von Raschke.
You went over to Germany for a little bit as well, and you did the Germany gimmick over there. Were you apprehensive about going over to Germany at all, doing the German gimmick?
No, actually, I look forward to it because I had been to Germany, but I never worked there, and I was a little bit. I didn't know how they would take me as far as pretending to be a baron and von Raschke, and Raschke is my real name, but I don't think I came from any barons. Anyway, so I was a little nervous about that, but I got over there and I started just working like I worked here, and I worked hard, and like I always, when I went out in the ring, I did the best I could do. Best I could do every night, small town, big town, Japan, Canada, U.S., Germany, wherever I worked, Austria, wherever I worked, I did the best I could. And I had a feel for the people. I had a feel for the people in Japan. I had a feel for the people in Germany and Austria and Canada. And I could just, it was something that was like a sixth sense for me. And I drew energy from that, and I reacted to the people and how they reacted to me, and it just kind of worked out to be a good thing, because unfortunately the people in Germany didn't understand me either. There I was to be their friend, and they despised me. I didn't get it.
Yeah. That makes no sense.
You got to pay attention.
From there, you came back and you went back to work for AWA a little bit. What are your memories about Horst Hoffman?
Horst, he became a good friend of mine. I had never met him before we were thrust together. Vern Gagne had met him when he went to the Olympics in Germany. I can't think of the town where they were held now. The big assassination attempts for the Israelis. Anyway, Vern Gagne had met him at the Olympics in 72 maybe. Munich, the Munich Olympics. When was that? 72?
That was the airplane incident?
Yeah, they captured an airplane, but they killed him. Several of the Israelis, the weightlifters and stuff, in their dorms. Anyway, it was that was a bad situation. But anyway, Vern was there, and he met Horst, because Vern was, I guess, scouting some potential people there or whatever. And anyway, he got Horst to come back, and meanwhile, I'd left. Where was I then? I think I left Indianapolis, and I came up, and they said, "Here's your new partner," and I said, "Oh, hi." So Horst and I met there, and wir sprechen Sie Deutsch, and das. And anyway, I knew enough German to get by, and it turned out he was a great guy and just a real interesting person. He was a very worldly person, and we got along great. And in the ring, he adapted his style to our style in America, and he was a great partner for me. He was just wonderful.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.